Good evening. In just over 6 weeks' time, millions of Londoners will go to the polls to elect the city's mayor. Today, it was the incumbent, Sadiq Khan, setting out why he should have 4 more years in City Hall, firstly promising he would serve those 4 years and not be tempted by a possible Labour government in Westminster. He also pledged to get more council houses built. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
They've not always seen eye to eye, but today the Labour leader and London mayor were side by side in Paddington to launch Sadiq Khan's election campaign. Last year, Sir Keir Starmer blamed Sadiq Khan's ULEZ extension for Labour's failure to win the Uxbridge by-election. Today, he didn't mention ULEZ by name, but praised the mayor's approach.
Clean air. Now, I say to people who challenge me on clean air, I say I've got 2 kids. They're 15 and they're 13. And I don't give them dirty water to drink. And I wouldn't want them to breathe in dirty air.
On this occasion, the Labour leader was the warm-up act.
Please, everybody, Sadiq Khan.
When Sadiq Khan launched his last campaign in 2021, it was disrupted by a protest over low-traffic neighbourhoods. This time his team was taking no chances. Today's event was invitation only and everyone had to have photo ID. The audience was made up of Labour loyalists, including MPs and council leaders. Sadiq Khan dangled the prospect of a Labour mayor working with a Labour government.
We can go from rowing against the tide of a Tory government to having the winds of a Labour government at our backs. We can only capitalise on this rare, precious opening if we ensure we retain City Hall for Labour.
But might a Labour victory in the general election tempt the mayor to swap City Hall for Westminster?
With Sadiq Khan, as with his counterpart in Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, there has been speculation that they might like to get back into Parliament because each of them thinks they might have a chance of being Labour leader at a general election, not obviously the one that's about to happen, but at one some point after that.
I promise the Londoners that I intend to be the mayor as long as I'm given the trust by Londoners to be their mayor. I think this is the best job in politics.
So if you're re-elected, you'll serve a full 4-year term?
Absolutely.
The mayor has already promised free meals in primary schools. Today he gave a commitment to build 40,000 new council homes. He also hinted that his 1-year partial fares freeze might be extended.
Let's wait and see in relation to how this campaign pans out. We'll be making further announcements over the course of the next 45 days.
The opinion polls show Sadiq Khan has a clear lead over his Conservative rival Susan Hall, but Labour officials worry the gap will narrow as election day approaches.
Simon, when will Sadiq Khan put out his full stall for Londoners, his manifesto?
Duncan, even in the digital age, manifestos are an important milestone in any election campaign. These are Sadiq Khan's last 2, 2016 manifesto, where he said his first priority would be tackling London's housing crisis, which he argues he's been doing ever since. However, the Conservatives said today that those numbers he talked about, 40,000 new council homes in the next 6 years, includes some properties which have already been started. So they say those figures are misleading. In his 2021 manifesto, there was no mention, you might remember, of any plan to extend the ULEZ to all of Greater London. We expect a drip of policy announcement from the mayor in the coming weeks, like those ones we've had today about council housing. But the manifesto itself, which will have all of his offer, should be published sometime after Easter.
To add to your collection. What about the other parties, the other big parties? When do they get going?
Well, next out of the blocks are the Lib Dems. Their candidate for mayor, Rob Blacky, will launch his campaign in South London tomorrow. We're not quite sure about the Conservatives. Their candidate, Susan Hall, hasn't yet made any campaign appearance with her party leader, the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, which you might have expected by this time. And we're not sure if there's going to be a big set-piece event involving the Conservatives. It might be just done online. As for the Greens, I think their candidate, Zoe Garbett, will launch hers a week after Easter.
OK, Simon, thank you very much for now. The Liberal Democrat candidate in the election for London Mayor has revealed muggers left him with a broken neck. Rob Blacky, who launched his campaign in Brixton today, was attacked by a group of men armed with a steel bar in 2003. He recently had successful treatment for cancer and accused Sadiq Khan of failing to tackle violent crime. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has more.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage the Liberal Democrats' mayoral candidate, Rob Blacky.
Rob Blacky isn't yet a household name, but it's something he's hoping to change. He plans to make crime and policing his top priority if Londoners choose him as their next mayor.
Too many suffer from a brutal, dark reality of violent crime and sexual assaults. And Sadiq Khan's failure on those issues is the main reason I am standing to be mayor.
Mr Blacky speaks from experience, although not recently. In 2003, muggers attacked him with a steel bar in Vauxhall and broke his neck.
When the doctor tells you your head's floating on a mess of broken bones, that you're lucky to be able to walk and lucky to be alive, living a normal life, it is not something you forget. If you're a victim of violent crime, it's something you always remember.
Compared with Labour's campaign launch yesterday, this was low-key, with about 24 party activists and one dog.
A Liberal Democrat vote in May. Hello, Alfie.
At City Hall today, the official notice declaring the election is on was posted. Londoners cast their votes on May the 2nd.
The most recent opinion poll suggests this election will once again be a two-horse race between Labour and Conservatives. But the Lib Dems have their eyes on another prize: seats on the London Assembly.
The Lib Dems currently hold 2 out of the 25 seats on the Assembly. Hina Bakari, who was elected in 2021, and Caroline Pidgeon, a veteran Assembly member and former mayoral candidate who's standing down after 16 years at City Hall.
We are going out for every vote for the mayor, but also for the London Assembly, because that important body that I've sat on for 16 years, we hold whoever's mayor to account. But we're after every vote we can achieve this year.
Realistically, the Lib Dems can't win this, can they?
Oh, we can. We have MPs around London. We've got councillors. We're on the up. Our polling's already putting us on double where we were last time. And people are a little bit tired of Sadiq Khan. And of course, they're not turning for Conservatives because the Conservative candidate for London is selling a type of politics that doesn't chime with Londoners.
He might be talking up his chances, but he's not putting all of his eggs in one basket. Rob Blacky is also standing as a candidate in the Assembly elections. Simon Harris, ITV News, Brixton.
Good evening. It's the last thing commuters wanted to hear. More tube strikes down the line that will make travelling in the capital a nightmare for many. The Tube Drivers Union, ASLEF, today announced more planned walkouts, 2 on the London Underground and 1 that coincides with another on mainline trains coming into London. They all take place in April and May during the mayoral election campaign. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
April the 8th is shaping up to be Black Monday for commuters. On some of London's busiest railway lines and on the Underground, drivers are planning to strike. There are 2 separate disputes coinciding to cause maximum disruption and timed to exert maximum political pressure less than 4 weeks before Londoners choose their next mayor.
The company keep trying to kick the can down the road, and our members have said to us, enough is enough. Something needs to be done now, hence the timing of the dispute.
In the run-up to the election?
Well, of course, there are always elections going on, and we always want to try and resolve disputes.
So you've timed this dispute to put pressure on the mayor?
No, we've timed this dispute to get the proper result for our members.
The tube strike is the latest move in a long-running dispute over terms and conditions. The drivers' last walkout was in March 2023. ASLEF accuses bosses of broken promises for failing to introduce better security measures in drivers' cabs and failing to ensure there are enough police on duty during the night tube.
Earlier this year, the biggest tube union, the RMT, threatened a series of strikes over the course of a week. That dispute was settled when London Underground offered an above-inflation pay rise after the mayor found an extra £30 million. Now it's ASLEF upping the pressure.
Sadiq Khan's campaign team responded to the strike threats, saying strikes are bad news for everyone, and the mayor urges ASLEF and TfL to continue talks to find a resolution to this dispute and prevent this potential disruption to Londoners. But Susan Hall, the Conservative mayoral candidate, said clearly Sadiq Khan's £30 million bung to stop the trade unions from striking wasn't enough, and now Londoners face even more disruption.
The mayor is always very short term. He buys off every problem till tomorrow, but of course that encourages people to come back to him again and again. What he needs to do is get a long-term deal with unions so that commuters aren't constantly suffering.
I think that people feel that they are working harder for less, and we hear that in other parts of the public sector, and I think that's a really valid concern. People can't work more for less. People need to be paid appropriately and have conditions that make their jobs enjoyable and safe and fair.
The threat of a strike might be sabre-rattling, but if it goes ahead, there are 2 dates planned, April the 8th and May the 4th, the day the election result is expected.
Oh, Simon, potentially how awkward could this be for Sadiq Khan?
Well, it's certainly ammunition for his political opponents, allowing them to claim that his £30 million buyout has come home to roost. And it might give ASLEF some leverage. The union will know that the mayor will want this dispute settled as soon as possible, certainly before the election on May the 2nd. So, yes, it's something Sadiq Khan could do without.
And you mentioned as well, one of those tube strikes will coincide with a national rail strike as well.
Yes, and that's no coincidence. They're both organised, these disputes, by the same union, ASLEF, and they affect some of the biggest commuter lines in London, Greater Anglia, C2C, South Eastern and South Western Railway, along with the GTR companies, that's Thameslink, Great Northern, Southern and Gatwick Express. April the 8th is going to be a big day for working from home and bad news for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, I'm sure. Simon, thank you.